Welcome to living in a van. Solar panels, batteries, cables, electrical system in general. Not quite a necessity for you to live in a van happily, but if you have a solar panel or solar panels and batteries, your life can be so much better. I have a 325 watt Kyocera panel. Everybody's going to have different power needs. For me personally, 325 watts is sufficient. If I had a little more, it would be better. I guess everybody wants a little more all the time, but really in reality 325 watts for myself is sufficient. In the summertime I have more than enough power. In the winter it's a little different, especially if you boondock like me in the Northeast. Then with cloudy days, snow, rain, it's hard to keep up the battery, especially if I'm using my Webasto. But if I go out west where it's nice and sunny, I have no issues. I had the panel shipped to me from Arizona Wind and Sun, and the panel cost me $300. The shipping for that panel was also $300. I would recommend that if you live close to a place that sells solar panels, that you go there personally and pick them up. A panel like this is an investment. It's something that we as van dwellers can do without, but if you have it, if you have the means to get one, if you can put one on your roof, it changes your whole life. Here's something else that I would recommend. If you have one of these solar panels shipped to you, before you accept delivery from the carrier, before you sign the paperwork, unbox the solar panel. Make sure that the solar panel has no scratches on it, and make sure that it's not bent. Also make sure to check that if your solar panel box comes with a little device, it turns red if the box was handled roughly. And I didn't check for that. I didn't know about that. And after I signed for the paperwork, the guy left, and I noticed two things. Thing number one, I noticed that once I unbox the solar panel completely, because I had checked to make sure that it didn't have any dents on the glass itself, and make sure there was no scratches, nothing. When I put the solar panel against the wall, I noticed that the solar panel was not straight. It had a little bend to it, and that was, I don't know if that was a result of shipping or if that was beforehand. I cannot attest to that. All I know is my solar panel had a bend to it, and the bend is on that side right there. There's a little bend to it. You almost don't notice that anymore, because once I screwed the panel down to my van, and I screwed it down 6 places on either side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 screws on either side bolting this down to the roof rack. So I knew once I did that the solar panel would straighten itself up. The other thing I noticed was that the shock beater was red. So had I seen those two things together before I signed the paperwork, I would have rejected the solar panel. But I didn't see those things until the guy left. And yes, I could have returned the solar panel, but I was at the point that I really wanted power, and I was willing to risk it just to have power. But I did check the solar panel to make sure that it had power. These two wires right here go from the solar panel right through the van, right to the solar charge controller. I drilled those holes a little bigger than the wire itself. I drilled them big enough to fit a grommet in there. And then the inside of the grommet was a perfect diameter for this cable. So the grommet went into the hole that I drilled. Then I passed this cable through the hole of the grommet all the way to the inside. I secured the cable on the inside so it wouldn't move up and down, and then I sealed that up with decor. And this is where the brains of the operation lie. This is my TriStar MPPT charge controller. So the cable from the solar panel comes in right about here and runs to the charge controller, both the positive and the negative, and they run right over here. And then there's the negative and the positive. They're both in black, but actually they're all in black almost, except for these here. But these run then 2 cables to the batteries, and then from the batteries I have 2 cables, these 2 over here, and they run to my fuse box, and then from my fuse box I run everything that I need to run. Next I have that breaker box. The positive cable goes through the breaker box, then comes to the charge controller. If there's an overload from the solar panel for some reason, it trips the breaker and then it doesn't damage anything else. If I have to work on the breaker box, on the solar charger control, then all I have to do is turn the breaker off, and I can work on this with no issues of being electrocuted, because I have all the power from the solar panel. Also, from the battery, the power that comes from the battery goes through the breaker box, and that's a different amp. So it's a 15 amp from the solar, and then for the battery it's a 30 amp breaker. So if from the battery, the same thing. If there's an overcharge from the battery to my circuitry, then it'll trip that, and it won't cause any damage. I have every single thing going to the fuse box first. So if there's any issue, the fuse will go bad. All I have to do is change the fuse. All my appliances run on 12 volts except for the TV that's behind me. That TV runs on 110, and if I use my tools, they also run on 110. So what I do is I turn my power inverter on, and that's a Cobra 1500 watt. All I got to do is go up here and turn the switch, and I have it connected to, from my old house, I used to have this surge protector right here, and I just connect that to the surge protector, and then everything else that I need to run I just plug into the surge protector, and that's how I use my inverter. Right now I have my TV already plugged in here, so as soon as I turn that on, my TV is on, but I don't need this on right now. Last but not least, my batteries, and it's not least, but it has to be last because it's really hot in here. I keep my batteries behind that stool that I have, that ottoman that serves also as a hamper. I keep them right there on the bottom cabinet. I have 2 AGM LIFELINE batteries. They are 125 amps each, and they cost me just a little over $300 each. And here's all the connections. I don't usually come in here, so it's a little dusty. Right here I have some of the tools that I use to do my electrical wiring. I have a multimeter, some pliers. This is a wire stripper and a crimper, so you can crimple your terminals together, or together to the wire. You crimple that. This is also a crimper, but this is a much bigger one for much bigger wires. And I have this wire cutter. I used other tools, but these are the ones offhand that I can remember. This concludes the tour of my electrical system, my solar panel, batteries. It's by no means a definite presentation. There's much more to be said. I'm not an expert. If you like to do something like this, you should read about it and consult people that know about it. If you do have questions, don't hesitate to ask me. I'm more than willing to help. You can contact me through my email. Tune in next time for the next installment of Living in a Van. Then God spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol, or any likeness of what is in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the water under the earth. Exodus 20:1-4.